February TBR, that's what we're going to be discussing today. I'm so excited. It's already the second month of the year. Like, can we slow down, please?
Let me get my list up here because I've been doing my homework. Because if not, I come out here and I don't know what to say. I mean, I still don't know what to say, but it's okay. Okay.
February TBR, super excited. We got Buzzword challenge books here. We got Jantes. I think it's Jan. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Jan.
I really suck.
But Jante's Infernal readathon, which I'm excited to be participating in. We got some books for that. And then we have just books for my 25 and 25. We have 2 to be exact. So let's jump in and take a look at the books that I'm going to be reading for the month of love. All right, so let's start off with the Buzzword challenge. I am going to be reading obviously 2 books because there's 2 parts of the challenge. For the Buzzword, it's going to be Water Words, and I'm going to be reading Along the River of Flesh by Christopher Triana. Christopher Triana is one of my favorite authors. He had me at Gone to See the Riverman, which is the first book in this series or in this duology. I think it's a duology, but don't quote me. So this is the second part. In this one, we pick up right where we left off on book 1, according to the synopsis. I'm not going to talk too much about the first book because I don't want to spoil it just in case you haven't read it. In this one, we're following the same serial killer that we're talking about in book 1. I think we're following maybe 3 sets of character, including the serial killer. Please do not quote me. But I'm so excited for this. Book 1 was sort of like a fever dream, but it was incredible and amazing, and was like, it had some disgusting parts. The ending was like, wait, what? So I'm excited to see what book 2 brings. I'm also going to be using this for Jante's, I have such a hard time saying that. I'm going to call it the Jan's Infernal readathon because I'm having a hard time. So please excuse me. I'm also going to be using this book for Jan's Inferno readathon. And then for the second book, for the Buzzword, for the cover, we have Skyline, and I'm going to be reading The Cottage by Lisa Stone. This is a book that I bought solely because of the cover. I'd never heard anybody talk about it. I'd never seen any reviews. I was walking through, I can't remember if it was like Walmart or Target. I saw it and I was like, anything with a house on the cover, I absolutely love. And so I picked it up. It looked spooky. It said, "Do you dare unlock the door?" It looked ominous, woodsy, and I was like, I need this. It's been sitting on a stack right next to my little reading corner that you guys are in front of. It's just been sitting there, and every time I sit there, I'm looking at it and looking at it. So it is the time. We have a Skyline on here. I'm so excited to read this. I don't even know when this sound started in the background.
But it's pretty annoying. I'm sorry if you could hear that, but the show must continue.
In this one, we are following our character, Jan, and I think she's like down in the dumps and she needs a new beginning. So she ends up renting a secluded cottage in the woods. She moves in, but at night, things get creepy and spooky. She hears tapping on the window and she feels like there's somebody outside. But nothing is going to scare our girl, Jan, and things get chaotic. Like I said, so excited to read this. I mean, this cover, if the book is as good as the cover, it's going to be 5 stars, period. Now we're going to get into Jan's Infernal readathon. I feel so bad changing that, but I just have a hard time saying Jante. Oh, Jante. Is that how it is? Jante. I think I'm getting closer. All right, so in this readathon, there's the circles of hell, and then you have prompts starting from the bottom, and the point is to get out of hell. If you want to know more, I will link Jan's video down below, but I'm sure you've seen it already. Basically, I have 5 books on my TBR for that readathon. Will I read them all? I don't know, but I have to read them all for the month. Whether it gets read for the readathon or not, I will be reading it for the month. So the first book that I have is Some Kind of Monster, and this will be going for the challenge of Betray Your TBR, which is the first prompt, and then the second one, I believe it's something dark on the cover. So Betray Your TBR is just to read another format than what you have, like just betray your actual physical TBR. For this, I'm going to be reading an ebook, Some Kind of Monster by Tim Wagner. This has been on my Kindle for years. for years, and I'm so excited to finally get to it. I don't want to know too much about this, but I believe we follow our main character, Angie, and she's on a quest to find answers. She starts researching urban legends. She starts researching, is there magic? Is there an afterlife? She just wants to find some answers. And I think that what she finds on her quest is something very dark and ominous. One of my 25 books in 2025 has made it on, well, actually two, but for the readathon, and it is Someone in the Attic. I can't remember all the prompts. I just remembered the first two because I had a really hard time trying to pick a book for that one. The rest I can't remember. This is for the readathon. I talked about this in my 25 books for 2025. Repetition at its best. And here we are following a masked figure that hides in the attic and then just goes crazy and unalives people in their own homes. It sounds creepy. It sounds nightmarish, and I am so ready for it. I recently purchased the whole Killer VHS series, or not the whole, because I think there's two books that haven't, but they haven't come out yet. So basically all the books that are out I bought because the whole VHS thing. One of them was Melonhead Mayhem. Such a small little book, but I'm so excited to read this. It sounds so creepy. Basically we have two cousins, and they're in town for their grandmother's funeral, and while they're in her house they find this VHS stuffed like somewhere, and they're like, what's the worst that can happen when we pop this in? You know what happens every time we ask that question. What's the worst that can happen?
Let me tell you what's the worst that can happen.
A horror movie comes to life. When they put the VHS in, it summons these urban legend monsters that are the Melonheads, and just chaos. Shit breaks loose. So I'm so excited for this one. Another ebook that I'm reading for Jan's Infernal Readathon is So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. I don't know much about this one. I think that there's two friends that go on a trip and things just go completely wrong. Obviously there's like a backstory. There's like a long synopsis for it, but I didn't want to know too much about it. This it's said to be a seductive, bloody novel, and say less. I'm there, first seat. I want to read it. And then obviously the last book that I have for this readathon is Along the River of Flesh. That is going to be the last book, like just read one final book, and you can't double that up with anything, because I thought like this one's a short one, just like Melonhead Mayhem, so I'm pretty sure I can maybe read it in one sitting. I don't know. I have a hard time reading books in one sitting, even if they're like 50 pages long. That would be a story, not a book. But yeah, I have a hard time even reading novellas in one sitting because, you know, my attention and my body just starts itching, and I'm like, get up. Go do something. So the rest of the TBR really isn't for any reading challenges or anything like that, other than one of the books in here is part of my 25 books in 2025. The first one is Arrows and Thanatos. It's an anthology of death and desire by Quill and Crow. I actually started this book. I read a couple of the stories. I was actually in the middle of a story, but I think I read 3 stories from here when I first bought it a couple years back, and it's just been sitting there. I have a hard time with short stories and anthologies. I'm trying to be better with them because I own a lot. For somebody that doesn't like them, I own quite a lot, but this one really drew me in because of death and desire. I'm going to read to you the synopsis because it's just so beautiful. Freud once theorized that human beings are subject to 2 drives: love, Eros, and death, Thanatos. While his psychoanalytic theory has long been expanded upon, no one can argue how fundamental love and death is to our existence. Within this collection are 12 stories that explore the fine line between these concepts. It also features a diverse group of authors whose often unheard voices tell stories of resilience, strength, and triumph through tragedy. Haunting as any Quill and Crow anthology, these stories seek to intrigue, inspire, and give a whole new meaning to Until Death Do Us Part.
Oh shit, I just went past the list that I have here. I went out of order. How un-Virgo of me.
Doomed Romances, Strange Tales of Uncanny Love. This is a collection, an anthology of stories. They're part of the British Library Tales of the Weird. I love collecting these. I have like about 6 or 7 from their series, from their collection, and I love how they look together, like their spines, but also the books, they're all like blues and greens within this black, like with this black background. I just love them so much, but they have just been sitting there, and although it's okay for them to just sit there and be pretty and do their jobs in my library, I need to start reading some of them. So this is just 12 tales of dark romance, and they're ranging between 1832 and 2022. So excited to finally read some of these. Another book that's been on my TBR for a while, at least since it released. I can't remember when it released, but it's A Delicate Condition by Daniel Valentine. I love this cover so damn much. This is said to be The Push with The Silent Patient. Now, The Silent Patient I did read, 4 stars, but I can't remember much about it other than the general thing of a character not being able to speak and some murder or something happened. But I can't remember much about it, but I remember enjoying it. The Push, though, by Ashley Audrain, one of my favorite books of all times. I gave that book 5 stars. So if I gave a book 5 stars and the other one 4 stars, and that's what this book is said to be, like a combination or a feel or a vibe of those 2 books, sold. Absolutely sold. With all that being said, I want to go into this book blind. I don't want to know absolutely anything. That's all I read was The Push and The Silent Patient. But I don't want to know anything else. So if you want to know about this beautiful book, then go research it because I don't know. I don't want to know. One of my goals for 2025, I was to say 2022, for 2025 was to read 150 books. And in order to do this, I have to have 12 books on my TBR. Okay, I don't have to have 12 books on my TBR. I have to read 12 books, around 12-ish books a month. Ask me where I am now. It's January 28th. I haven't even read half of 12. But whatever, that's neither here nor there right now, right? Okay, it's just bothering me. So I do have 12 books on my TBR for February. We're down to the last 3. The Memory Ward by John Basoff. This is a book that is not out yet. It comes out next month or March because we're still in January. But if it's my February TBR, then it is next month. March 4th. That's when this comes out. This sounded so good. It's about this town that's just too perfect to be true. Like a perfect little town. Everybody is super nice. Everybody is super good. Everything is perfect, sunny, great. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody gets along with everybody kind of deal. Then there's a postal worker. I believe his name is Hank. He just starts noticing weird things, which brings him to investigate further onto what is going on in this town. This sounds like so trippy and like psychological AF, which I love psychological books, so I can't wait to jump into this one. In the synopsis, it says, told in Basoff's lyrical and evocative style, The Memory Word is a disquieting, that is a big buzzword for me, disquieting, page turner that examines the nature of identity, trauma, and what it means to be human. Does that not make you want to read the book? 2 Christopher Triana books on 1 TBR for 1 month? Like what? And I'm trying to catch up on all of my favorite horror authors because there was a little bit of a time there where horror really wasn't like calling out to me. I was like in the mood for cozy mysteries and thrillers, but horror just wasn't something that I was picking up. I mean, here and there, but not as often or as much as I was reading before. So this month, I'm like, I need to catch up on a favorite. I need to catch up on a favorite, on a few favorites, because we have another favorite coming up here. But Because You're Mine by Christopher Triana, I mean, could I have picked a better month to read it in than the month of love? Even though this is an extreme horror romance. Extreme horror romance. Extreme horror romance. Can we get that into our brains? Like, I should have read this a long time ago, honestly. Like, I should have read it when I got it, when I bought it, when it got delivered, because I don't know what my deal was. But here we're following 2 characters. Brian is the first one. He has an elderly sick mom that requires care and tending to, and he sort of, it says here, she's terminally ill, and that's the way he likes it. And then we have Shelby, who is a nurse, and she ends up taking care or being Brian's mother's nurse. But these 2 I feel like are a little sick, and they get together and start doing some chaotic things, to say the least. So super intrigued. I want to see how dark this gets, and knowing Triana, is gonna get dark. And the last book on my TBR is The Devil Crept In by Anya Alborn. I think this is another one of my 25 books in 2025. Yeah, it is. So excited. Anya Alborn, her writing is just incredible. but I haven't picked up one of her books in years. I own so many, I need to start cracking down on them. Here we're following a little disappearance, no, a boy that has gone missing. So his cousin Stevie and the town are on the hunt for him. There's searches, they're doing the thing, but they're growing weary and worried that as time passes, they're not going to find him. But all the while this is going on, there's also a killer on the loose in their town. At least they believe that there's a killer on the loose. I don't know, it sounds super creepy and it sounds super effed up, and I am all in for it. I'm trying to make up for my non-horror months that happened in 2024. So those are all the books that I would love to get to in February. So excited. I'm so far I'm doing good with my Buzzword challenge. I might not be hitting my numbers in January, but I damn sure as hell am hitting my Buzzword challenge. I'll tell you that much. That's a spoiler alert for my January wrap up. Let me know what your February TBR is looking like, if you even build a TBR. If you don't, just tell me one book off the top of your head that you would love to read in February. Let's chat books in the comment section down below. As usual, all these books will be linked in the description for easy access. Also, you can find my socials down there. Let's connect so we can keep chatting about books and other platforms. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.